Hello everyone, my name is Buster Coyote from Pixabay, and welcome to Indie Access. Every episode we'll be taking a look at some of the most recently released indie games, as well as a few still in development. Today we'll be taking a look at Party of Sin from developer Crankshaft Games. Party of Sin is a puzzle platformer with a heavy emphasis on combat, and is available for download on Steam and Desura for the PC. If this sounds like a game you would enjoy, stay tuned until the end of the video where we will tell you how you can win one of 2 download codes for a free copy of Party of Sin on Steam. Alright, angels, avalanches, hell terrain, what is one sin to do? Well, luckily we're not just one sin, and luckily, well, we're Gluttony. So you can see in the top left my health refilling. Gluttony's special ability is to eat people. I know, big surprise there. But it is one of my favorite abilities. This will restore health and take an enemy out of combat. When you hear the little ting like that, that means he is eaten and the enemy is now dead. We can always switch over to different ones, but this is the one that I'll be using mostly through combat, but we will use all of them in our different puzzles. Greed here can lock onto this, like the Thief in different other games, not to be mentioned, and can hookshot his way over and use those to solve puzzles. This is the 3rd stage in the first world. There are 4 worlds in the game, multiple stages. Game's roughly about 6 to 8 hours in completion, a little bit faster if you're better at puzzles. But let's jump right into a puzzle right here and I'll explain more of how the game mechanics work. So right now, we need to go over there. It looks like 2 switches we need to hit because of the 2 different buttons. Also, I've played this level, so I know there's 2 different switches. So first of all, let's switch over to Gluttony, my favorite. We're going to hit our switch and get our block. Now we can't move this block. We can run into it with Wrath and move it around, but that's not going to help since there's, well, walls on either side. So let's eat it with Gluttony. And we'll go over here and we'll drop it on the switch. Now the problem is, well, we can't get over there in time because the wall shuts. But it does click over one of those green lights. So that is what we have to do. But if you've played through the different stages by now, let's move this just out of the way, you would know that I can switch also by holding LB for the controller, or the number keys with the keypad, or certain shortcuts, like for the moment, circle is our lust key, or B, and we can use her special ability with RB to create a platform on those hearts. Gluttony will then eat it with RB, his special puzzle or attack ability, drop it up here, then we'll move on over here, hit this switch, which will release that platform, dropping it on that switch, and there you go. Now, that's a lot to kind of digest, no pun intended being Gluttony, but as you play through the game, you learn. Each stage is about 10 to 15 minutes long, depending on how good you are, so there's a lot of stuff to go on. Now you're also probably wondering, what the holy heck is going on down here? Once again, no pun intended. Saint Michael is, well, kind of the big bad guy here. Saint Michael has left these angels, the ones with the guns and crossbows. Hey, oh, shoot. I'm trying to explain your games. Back off for a second. There we go. Nom, 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 nom. And we were going to make a deal with Satan, because every 666 years we have to renew this contract with him, which allows him to protect us and allows us to spread our, well, sins throughout the human world. Saint Michael burst in last minute right before the contract was about to be signed, and, assuming foul play, Satan ripped up the contract and threw us in prison. So, we are breaking out of prison, and of course, we're going to have to get some revenge on Saint Michael. So, there are angels and demons we have to fight, so, you know, a big pain in the butt, in other words. Alright, so once again, we need to get over here. You'll see a lot of combat throughout this game, but there are puzzles dispersed throughout it as well in each stage, getting slightly harder and using more and more timing and skills. So right now, let's spit out our button. Okay, so we need to jump up here. Now we would crouch under here. You know what? I'll just show you, because otherwise it'll take too long. So let's turn into Sloth. Sloth can slow things down. So we'll slow this down. What that's going to do is when we eat this, it'll give us time to run up here and jump on the platform. Now the reasoning for this is that we can't jump up here otherwise. Okay. So I'm skipping a few steps because I know what to do. So we jump the platform there and then do that. Turn into Wrath, because he uses that. Obviously the Wrath button looks like Wrath, so that's a nice little addition. And we run into it with his special ability, R1, to trigger the platform. Oop, I always like when you... it's like, okay. I like the animation that they added, though. It's like, oh no, I'm about to fall. And then with Gluttony being, well, Gluttony, it just looks silly. Nope. Hey, buddy. No. The one thing about combat that I do not like about this game, now that little item there was an invulnerability, so I'll have invulnerability for a little while. We'll just try it here. Is that it's a little not amazing. It gets the job done, don't get me wrong. Like, you have special abilities, like defensive abilities, like with Pride, I can slash projectiles and it knocks them back to people. That's pretty cool. But that's really your only defensive ability, to be honest. There is no roll, there's no dodges, no blocks, and for me, that really kind of is unfortunate because the controls, although not sloppy, I feel they could have been even better. I'm going to continue to do this. Now, the big thing is, okay, well, you're going to keep taking damage. That seems really difficult. Well, that's where Gluttony once again comes into play. You just eat things, and he's going to gain health over time. Plus, I mean, it takes a whole enemy out of the combat. Now, if you switch to a different sin, once you eat somebody, it'll regurgitate him out. So you want to stay as Gluttony. And usually, if it's combat, I stay as Gluttony. I feel he's one of the best combat characters. Alright, so we're going to switch over to Wrath. Once again, these look like Wrath, right? And we're going to charge through. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so we have yet another puzzle. Also, if we switch over to Greed, we have a little hook shot. And we can pick up green apples, among other things. The green apples will act as a sort of currency for the in-game store, which allows you to upgrade your sins through 2 different abilities. It also has different ones like invincibility you can give your guys, big head mode, some stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Alright, so let's go over here once again with Gluttony. We're going to drop it on this, but once again, we can't get there in time. So what does this heart look like? Well, this heart corresponds to Lust. So let's do that. We'll create her platform, jump up here, drop this here, because we know, if you played for a little while, that eventually the Lust platforms fall. Boom! There's our switch. Pop. Now, once again, this may seem, oh, well, we kind of just did that, didn't we? And this is just slightly different. Kind of, but there are puzzles that do get a little bit more difficult. This is also just the 3rd stage, so things will get a little more difficult. Alright, so just knowing that this switch right here will probably move this, let's slow this down, because we want to make sure we get on it. We're going to hit our switch, jump on over. Okay, you know what? Actually, that is not how you solve this puzzle, I don't think. Let's do this again. We'll reset. And I believe, if I'm correct, we'll switch over to her. Once again, you can use the wheel and move around, but I've memorized the different shortcuts. It's not too hard once you play the game for a little while. And I just use the shortcuts. I think it's a little easier. So let's do that. We'll use Wrath, hit the switch, jump on real quick. Now what I did here is create a little bit of a puzzle for us to jump over. Or a little platform, for that matter. Yes, a puzzle to jump over. If we could jump over the puzzles in that game, it'd be a lot faster. Also, what you saw here was Pride's special ability. If you hold R1, he does a charge. Now, if you hold R1, then hit A, he does a long jump. We probably didn't really need the long jump there, but just to make sure that we hit it, I wanted to hit it. Alright. Hey guys. Oh, geez Louise, that is a shotgun. Those guys are a pain in the butt. Another thing about combat that I wasn't as big on, when you duck, like let's say I look that way, when you duck, it turns you right, which I'm not a big fan of. You can also slow enemies, as you can see. Because of that, once again, the ability to defend or block or dodge, that slows you down for a small second. Not huge, but it's a good game. But being that it's a game that, or a company that it's only made a couple different games, starting out with the a mod originally, I feel that there could be some more polish put into it. The company has mentioned, though, that they are going to continue to support the game with patches and added content. So, which I think makes it a little bit more of a bargain for 15 bucks. 15 bucks I think is a little expensive for the game personally, but I'm also not a really big puzzle platformer. If you're a big puzzle platformer and you like the idea of being able to switch between the characters, then I definitely think that that's something that let's look into this. Leave a comment especially too, and you might be able to even win one of the free copies. So we're going to have one of our first bosses in the game, a Demon Narwhal, which is a gigantic whale with spikes. So let's slow him down, and then, whoops, let's go to town on him. Now I'm using Pride for the ability to move around. Just kind of taunting him here, because Pride moves just a little bit faster than some of the others. Envy as well, and Lust, but I just like Pride. All right, once again, just do it. So we can also use Envy's ability to laser beam people, which I haven't showed off yet. Most of the reason I don't use her is like, oh man, you get a laser beam? That's awesome. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It looks like it does a lot with the boss, but against the main characters or the main enemies, it really doesn't. So I don't recommend it. There we are. Once again, this guy actually is a little bit harder. It took me about 3 tries, I think, the first time I played against him, but I know his pattern now, so that's the idea with a lot of these games, and I don't fault the game at all for that. Is once you learn the oh no! Well, I eat my own words, huh? The narwhal screams before jumping. Well, thank you, game. Let's see if we can get a couple hits in first. Once you learn the actual pattern for enemies in this game, you're gonna have a lot easier time. Just like Mega Man and a lot of other platformers that are really popular, the big thing you need to learn is just the pattern. That's just the nature of the game, though. I don't feel that that's a bad thing or a downside to the game. All right. Another thing I want to touch on as we're dodging our narwhal is the fact that, oh shoot. Okay, here we go again. Here we go again. Get some first shots in. Is that there's actual gamepad support right off the bat. You don't have to do anything. The actual game realizes that you're using a gamepad, and you can use it right off the bat, which I love. You can even redo some of the buttons too for it if you want to actually adjust how you play the game, which I think is awesome. The keyboard is available too. I'm not a big fan of it as much on puzzle platformers, but that's also a personal thing. For those of you that are used to a keyboard more, I recommend it. What the nice thing is that allows you to do is play co-op. Now the game doesn't have internet co-op, unfortunately, no online co-op, but it does have local co-op on one PC. So you can put someone on the keyboard or put multiple people on gamepads. Now what's awesome about this is you have multiple synths, multiple characters on screen at once, which really help for the ability to do some of these puzzles quicker. Also, it's always nice to have someone else kind of taking a look at an idea or a puzzle to help you solve stuff. That was close. You know what, Pride? I'm going to give you your 15 minutes of fame, buddy. Boom! Die, Narwhal. Now, granted, for some of you that are thinking, oh, that's cool, let's play co-op. Yeah, well, depending on who you know, you can always grief the heck out of each other, too, by pushing each other off. As Gluttony, you can eat somebody and even throw them. Well, throw them into the lava or throw them in to grab items, which is really cool, too. So there's a lot of really cool stuff involved in the game. So if you have someone to play co-op with that you can invite over and have a controller or, you know, a keyboard and a controller or a couple controllers, I really recommend this game. This is a lot of fun when it comes to co-op. Single player, it's still decent, but you're kind of going through a game that I feel could use a little bit more polish, whether it's the combat or the actual platforming. Platforming is a little floaty-ish, but you don't usually run into a lot of issues to where it's like, okay, the game screwed me over. A lot of times it's like, okay, this is how the game is, and I should have known that I should have used this character or jumped here or dodged here or not been so aggressive. So I don't usually feel like the game screwed me over, but I don't feel like the game's mechanics itself are exactly helping me the best either. So I'll show off the shop a little bit. As you can see, obviously I bought Gluttony items. I have 2 apples in the top right, you can see, and then these items right here on the top row are going to be all 2 apple items that you can buy. So we can buff up Envy's melee combo to poison enemies, or if we had 5 apples, we can have her laser beam go through players and enemies. So really cool stuff. Whereas you could have, let's see, Pride, you could have his melee combo unleash an energy slash, or have his sword dash deal more damage. Then there's also really cool ones like Envy can cover herself with a cardboard box, or what I really like is Gluttony's little shirt, Cake or Death. Then you can also see 2 down here, big head modes, faster movement, enemies won't attack unless you attack, or just straight invulnerability. So everyone, this is Party of Sin. If you like the idea of it, if you like the idea of putting probably 6 to 8 hours into this game, solving puzzles, fighting monsters, fighting angels, and then eventually getting your revenge on Saint Michael, well, there you go. We will have information in the video description below, and if you'd like a chance to win one of the 2 free download copies to be redeemed on Steam, leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will choose 2 winners at random. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Indie Access. My name is Buster KOD, and I will see you next time.